Hi, how are you guys?
Hey, love the
Hello
intro.
and welcome. You like it?
Love it.
Looks like a Jerry
Cool.
Springer kind of show, right?
Um,
Thank you so much, Amber and Isha, joining us today on the topic that we have, which is about influencers. I'm sure everyone who's going to join today already knows you guys, but if you guys just want to introduce yourself, take 30 seconds, tell us who you are,
Yeah, we don't
and
introduce our guests. That's the best
yeah,
part.
that's the
Because
worst
we
part actually.
assume that people should know you, and if they
Yeah,
don't know, then I think it's their problem.
yeah. So we can start
I
with
like
you,
the
Isha.
approach. I like the approach. So, whoever is watching, hello everybody. My name is Eisha Salim. I currently work for Brainchild Communications as the head of planning and business lead for Media West. That's about work. Apart from that, the people who already know me, I have 7 cats at home. So, a
You got
fun
seven
fact
cats at
about
home?
Oh,
Wow.
crazy.
I have
it's
I
Okay.
have
crowded.
just one. It's hard to handle. Just
It's
one
crowded.
cat. Just one
I'm
cat.
the only dog person, I guess, here in this studio.
Yeah, you're the only dog person.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Amber,
much
go
for the
ahead.
intro. Amber, how about you?
Can we have Amber? No.
I think her screen is frozen.
Yeah.
Amber, we can't hear
Oh,
you.
she's back. Amber, can you hear us? I think she can hear us.
Mhm.
Let me text.
Yeah, just so Isha, let's just start off. I
Yeah.
think let's let Minam catch Amber. Um,
Yep.
क्या चल रहा है? Like how is the influencers market in Pakistan? Because we are too far away. I think Minam rightly pointed out. The
Yeah.
only thing I see is actually whenever, and this is my perception, right? And just you can clear that perception. Whenever I see any launch coming in, so
Mm-hmm.
Twitter के ऊपर ना, these are the same people who keep on tweeting about one particular brand in a certain way, and these are the people I know, and we follow them. And
Yeah.
one day they're talking about a certain brand, the next day they're talking about some other brand. Is it what influenced the landscape in Pakistan, or is it like only one part of it?
Yeah, so I think what you just pointed out has been my biggest pain point as a planner, as a strategist, and even back in the day when I myself was trying out, blogging 5 6 साल पहले जब मुझे भी इसका भूत सवार हुआ था, तो that was my biggest I think problem because for example if let's say I am and people who know me they already know the fact that I'm like a coke junkie. So मुझे
Hmm.
सुबह ब्रेकफास्ट में भी कोका कोला चाहिए, मुझे शाम को खाने में भी चाहिए, मैं शायद चाय से पहले भी वही पीती हूँ. So that's how it is. And then as a blogger or as an influencer, you do tend to kind of wave away from brands that you really feel something about, or you really believe in them, for the sake of engagement or for the sake of contracts with brands. And so because of that, I think influencers sometimes, and not all of them, but sometimes they tend to get into projects that they don't believe about. So yes,
Yeah.
एक दिन somebody is going to be talking about Sunsilk, the next day they're going to be talking about Palmolive or Pantene for that matter, and that doesn't really make sense. So you're not loyal to the brand, and you're not loyal to, let's say, your audience as well. And I think that's one of the key issues that as a strategist I see in the market. And
Hmm.
definitely influencer market is very unregulated, which is another reason why these kind of things happen.
Yeah. So just a question on top of that, right? So basically, is there a science to it, right? So I get the point, K, and there can be other side of the coin that says that how does it matter if I'm an influencer? I can talk
Mhm.
about Pantene today and something tomorrow. My followers will follow me anyways, right? So that's one part of it, and they say that because I'm an influencer, I can do whatever I want. But is
Mhm.
there a science behind it to choose a particular influencer in Pakistan right now, or it's like I know this guy has X followers, or there's an agency that tells you how to go about it, or do you have an internal team that does that? How does it work?
See, again, I think, like I said, the fact that the market is so unregulated means that you do have like a trial and error kind of formula when it comes to choosing the influencers, right? Some brands already have a set of influencers or the kind of people that they want to work with in mind. Let's say on a general level, if I say as a planner, what are the things that I look at? There might be 3 lists of people that I may look at when I'm developing, let's say, a PR or an influencer plan. First is going to be the people that we categorize as hardcore content creators. These would be people like Desi Wonder Woman. Mahavish is another one of them, which is Safar Name. Faiza Salim, I really enjoy watching her content because it's very engaging. You actually have a good laugh about it as well. It's very shareable. Second would be the category of influencers or key opinion leaders within their own respective genre where they are experts at. So there's fashion, there's tech, there might be comedy, there might be 100 genres that people would be looking at. And third is where you kind of get your shareability or the word that I think we all love throwing around, virality, viral karna hai. So you get that from these people because they lie somewhere in between of 5,000 followers to, let's say, 10,000 or 15,000 followers. And unfortunately, most of their let's say feed is made off of sharing content from other people, which again is the reason why you have that problem that nobody's loyal to a certain brand. Now people like Faiza Salim or people like Mavish, Shazeen might only work with brands that they strongly believe in, and that's why I, as a viewer, really enjoy watching their content, but others might not. So overall, on a general level, I think that is a general science that we follow, and then obviously how fit the influencer is for a certain brand or for a certain project.
Okay, perfect. Let's move to Amber. Amber, you want to introduce yourself? Can you hear us now?
Hi, I'm Amber Javed. Sorry?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Yes.
Yeah, so I am Amber and I am a content creator and a fashion influencer based out of Islamabad, Pakistan. I've been blogging for the last 10 years. And I've recently also started a side venture, which is sort of like a curated digital space for pre-loved fashionable items. So yeah, it's been a long journey.
Perfect. So आपके लिए पहला सवाल ये है कि as an influencer, how do you make yourself discoverable to agencies or brands to get business? As simple as that, to get campaigns.
बहुत स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड क्वेश्चन किया तुमने.
The point. I think थोड़ा delay पे चल रहा है.
I think
there's a bit of lag.
Yeah.
Right. I think I feel like I'm privileged like that, and I may not be the. Can you guys hear me, by the way? I feel like there's a bit of a lag. Or
we can hear you. It's a bit lag, but it's okay.
Yeah, can you guys hear me? Okay. So I was saying that I feel like, thankfully, because I have a long journey behind me. I've been working in this industry for 10 years. That I feel I am privileged enough to the point that I don't have to actively reach out to agencies and brands myself. I mean, gladly for me, I have been working with some of the most influential brands and companies in this country. So, I mean, it's no new knowledge for anybody that even if a new brand wants to reach me out, they would either have my details or they could always, get it from my page or from their peers and colleagues. But yeah, there's one thing that obviously I'm aware that a lot of new influencers and bloggers keep asking me कि नए brands को कैसे reach out करें, how, and so I've talked about this before as well, but I always say that first develop your own brand and develop your own content and develop a page where you have something to show and where you have something to sell first. It's not a matter of followers, right? Even brands and agencies have come to that point where they are not just considering the engagement and the numbers only as a point, right? So if a brand wants to work with you, or if you're reaching out to a brand, you need to have some unique selling actually, start building a brand,
I think we lost her again.
We lost her. But I
Yeah.
agree. I think I agree because I think I first met Amber actually for for a certain brand I was working at that point in time. So actually, I
Yeah.
approached Amber because at that point in time, luckily, I think you're too old to understand. At that point in time, there were very few influencers in Pakistan. So there's very few you can only reach out to. So that's a good one. There is a question. I think I'll just take a question next. And Imtiaz is asking a question, which is a very good one. And Isha, take a few minutes to just read through it. I'll put it on the
Yeah.
screen.
Yep. I think it was similar to what I was
Yeah.
asking
Yeah,
earlier.
definitely.
Yeah.
I think it kind of also sheds light on the second pain point, which is the pricing tiers of
Yeah.
in this influencer market, considering it's so unregulated. So yes, I
Mm.
think with regards to the formula and the selection, there's a definite science to it. There's a definite formula to it. It's not just based on कि आपकी following कितनी है या
Hmm.
what are the engagement rates that you can get, but also for brands which are definitely global. They do look at the kind of content that a certain influencer can create. You know, the quality of content. I think this was something that I was also discussing with my husband, who happens to be within the same field. That sometimes in terms of selection of your influencer, you also have to see कि camera किसको operate करना आता है,
Yeah.
pictures किसको सही लेनी आती हैं, who can create and curate content in a certain way. Then in terms of influencers who would be open to the changes that come from the brand, because it's not just a matter of you select influencers and you go live with a plan. काफी दफा आपको कंटेंट क्यूरेट करना पड़ता है एजेंसी को, and you have to kind of go back with captions or the videos that are coming in or the pictures that are coming in. And a lot of times there are certain influencers who are okay with the revisions that they have to do based on what the
Yeah.
brand demands, but there are some who are not okay with it, and then that creates a whole fuss during a campaign. In terms of अगर इस तरीके का कोई पाकिस्तान में डेफिनेटली टूल अवेलेबल हो जाए, आई थिंक दैट्स व्हाट फराज इज आल्सो सेइंग, where you can look at the whole industry of influencers that are available to you. That would be, I think that would be amazing, and that would be really helpful to regulate not just the market for brands and agencies, but for influencers also, because you
Got it.
would be able to not create a lobby of कि ये
Yeah.
influencers brand ko pasand hai, ya they hang out with the brand, so that's why they are always in the plans.
Yeah.
But you can really work out the science then.
So उसी बात से एक और point था. So we talk about this tool, right? And we know in certain markets it exists. हमारे पास भी मलेशिया में वो tool है जो actually plugs in X amount of influencers across the country through multiple vendors or media owners, as they call it here, that already have those people on their board as a talent company. So the step one for that was that where there were already existing companies that had curated talent as part of their portfolio and they were selling it. So there are companies like Inity, there are companies like Nafnang that exist in Southeast Asia that actually as a core just do that. So just sell influencers, right? And because there are multiple, many of those, so the price ranges kind of come to a level where you say, ठीक है यार, एक average influencer अगर उसके ये followers हैं, ये cost बैठेगी, and then it's easy to make a plan also. So पाकिस्तान में क्या ये already exist करते हैं इस type के media owners या vendors that have started to do that, या अभी उसमें एक gap है या space है where someone can actually curate all those influencers and create a company and say all I do is sell influencers?
So I think there's definitely a lot of scope for something like this. Mainly जो आपकी digital creative agencies होती हैं या आपकी more so the digital media agencies, they definitely do this. PR agencies do something similar as well. But then again, like I said, there is a definite overlap which creates a lot of disconnect, right? So at the end of the day, अगर मैं as a media agency PR बेच रही हूँ और एक PR एजेंसी भी PR इन्फ्लुएंसर्स बेच रही है और एक डिजिटल क्रिएटिव एजेंसीज भी इन्फ्लुएंसर्स बेच रही है, and there is no regulation about the rates that are presented, there is no regulation about the kind of let's say engagement that is available through that platform. Like एक एग्जांपल लेते हैं ना, हमें पाकिस्तान में पता है, फॉर एग्जांपल वी आर सेइंग कि पाकिस्तान में 190 चैनल हैं, वो 190 ही चैनल हैं, वो एक सर्टेन बॉडी के साथ एसोसिएटेड है, आपको वहां से सारा डेटा मिलता है, इट्स ऑल चेक थ्रू चेक एंड बैलेंसेस. वी कैन आर्ग्यू अबाउट कि वो डेटा कैसा है, सही है नहीं है, but there is at least some science to what is being done. Within the influencer market, that is something that is missing. If a tool can come in and fill in this gap, that would be great, number one. Number two, I think there is also there needs to be some science to the whole madness about PR plans, because at the end of the day, expertise hai kiski. As a media person, as a planner, I can definitely recommend based on the brand strategy, the communication strategy, what I see fit for the brand in terms of the choice of influencers, but that's not my core expertise. I should be able to leave that to someone who does that day in and day out.
Yeah. So Amber, can you hear us now, or you can't? Because I've got a follow up kind of point that I want to check up with you on.
No, she can't.
She can't hear. Okay, no worries. Because the question that I had for Amber then as an influencer was, or as an artist, was that what does she desire? A direct contact or sell her art herself, or she would be willing to work with a manager that can probably get her more work, or can give her a different project. So I think she's gone now. We can catch up with her.
But I have one question for Eisha. There's a counterpoint. When I worked with KOLs, right, or key opinion leaders or influencers, right, there is also one approach that its field should not be like TV, not regulated, because this is a field for talent, right?
It's art, yeah.
You cannot put a rate card on a human talent. So irrespective whether, for example, I have 1,000 followers and you have 1,000 followers, right? If you want to keep the same rate card or try to put some science behind it, and we as media agencies always a very Excel sheet based people, we like to come up with some benchmarks and all that. We feel good about it, right? So this is an art, right?
Definitely.
You cannot say that, for example, you have 1,000 followers, so I will give you $100 for it, right? Because X person also have that. I can sell my services to any rate, right? What do you think about it?
You can. I think both sides can be very well argued on this, because if you do look at the kind of effort that goes in for creating the kind of content that these influencers come up with, sometimes unfortunately even, and I know a lot of people will be offended by it, but sometimes I feel like we rob these बिचारे influencers at in certain instances, because इतना ज़्यादा thought process.
Which shows about that?
No, because इतना ज़्यादा thought process जाता है, इतनी effort जाती है to just be able to, even in a certain way, कि आपको एक symmetry दिखानी है, एक certain picture में, या एक aesthetically pleasing video होनी चाहिए. There is a lot of brain cells that go into creating that, and there's a lot of effort, and the kind of provisions that sometimes brands do give these influencers, and they have to abide by it. I definitely feel that yes, they can charge whatever let's say they want. So like I said, both sides can be argued quite well.
That's true.
Perfect.
Amber is back, right? Amber,
can you hear us now?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. तो आपके लिए सवाल ये है कि हम लोग बात कर रहे थे अभी a while before you went off कि in terms of somehow regulate the market, उसका भी एक the other side of the coin is, which is it shouldn't be regulated. This is one part of it. But as an influencer, as an artist, as a celebrity, would you rather be wanting to work yourself directly with the brands, or you would be okay to work through a manager, an influencer agency that can probably promise you to get more work? But as individually, what's your preference that way?
Well, to be honest, I mean, if you were to ask me in the current scenario, I would take the liberty of saying that I haven't come across a media agency or an influencer marketing agency, to be particular, who actually truly understand what the nature of the job is. and who would make the process so seamless and who will make the process so easy for influencers, and also lucrative enough. Because see, there are a few influencer marketing agencies even today and PR agencies out there who are going to get bloggers on board and tell them that we will be able to connect you to brands and we'll handle the campaigns for you guys. But unfortunately, they don't have the bigger, more acclaimed brands on their panel, right? So I mean, छोटे मोटे इधर उधर के brands ये वो, and you know, when you're just venturing out, when as a new blogger, obviously you're looking for more campaigns. So I don't think that we have like one big agency right now that I would feel confident going to in terms of getting more clientele. That's number one. Number two, I don't know if Isha will agree with this or not, that I think brands also somehow feel like they need to communicate directly to influencers because they're able to share their requirements in a much more, you know, direct and a much more clear manner. I feel कि बीच में जितने ज़्यादा middlemen आते हैं या agencies आती हैं, the message can get lost in translation, or it does not, you know, so the brand wanted something else and the PR agency translated it as something else, and by the time the influencer understood it, the things got really murky. So I feel like brands want to hold a certain sense of control also over there. As far as I'm concerned personally, I'll be honest, like, you know, I feel that it's again because of the same reason. I just feel more comfortable talking to a brand directly because I've worked in corporate sector before. I just try to understand it in a better fashion. What exactly is the brand wanting? What are their sales objectives? What are their brand objectives? You know, so what exactly is it that they're looking for while they're sitting in their organization? So for me to get a very clear understanding becomes much more easier rather than reaching out to a PR person, because the PR person has only been sent a brief which they're just, you know, sort of forwarding. So
Amber
so
hasn't given the
I
proper
feel that
introduction, I
maybe
think.
going forward, if a PR agency really does that job, and there, by the way, there are a few, you know, ones out there. But yeah, they just, I perhaps need to grow their portfolio also to the point that bloggers really start to reach out to them, because you know, एक brand किसी एक PR agency के पास है और दूसरा brand किसी और PR agency के पास है. So there is no one PR agency that you can reach out to for, let's say, 20 top brands. That's also, you know,
Amber
something.
has been a client before. For people who don't know that history of
Yeah,
Amber.
That's why
I
that's
have.
how it goes.
Amber
I've
was
been on
with
the other side. You know, I've been on the other side, which I think makes my job easy to understand, because I know here, you know, when you're on the client side, what exactly are you looking for?
Absolutely.
and Amber is also an engineer.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I had no
Multi-talented.
idea.
Amber, can you tell people which engineering you have done?
That's news for me.
Yeah, well, that was something that just happened by accident.
Sure.
That's a good one. Cool. Okay, I'll take one question, very simple question, and I want you guys to answer very honestly, and I'll put it on the screen. And this is a very confusing one. Who is an influencer?
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's a good.
sometimes I fail to understand people who have an Instagram and they take good pictures. Are they influencers? People, you need to have a website. You need to create content, write something. Who is an influencer?
Amber, I'll let you take the lead on this.
Okay, so
She took the easy way out. Anyways.
since Mark has asked me to be honest, and I will be honest, I also said the same in an interview sometime back, that I actually don't believe in the term influencer. You know, not in the context that we've you know, been
Develop.
used to, you know, developed in over the last couple of years, but you know, in the sense that what is an influencer? For me, if you ask me, my mother's an influencer in my life, my sister's an influencer, and even when you strictly talk about the in the context of marketing, it is not for me to define whether I'm an influencer or not. I mean, it is up to the people really to know who are they getting influenced by and in what capacity. So some of my campaigns would have not done anything. जो लोग देख रहे हैं उन्होंने देखा होगा, उन्होंने कहा होगा अच्छा यार, हमें तो बिल्कुल ना पसंद आया, ना हमें कोई फर्क पड़ा. But then there were other people who actually got influenced by it in whatever fashion they want. Like it either led to their information thi, या entertainment thi, या they got inspired by anything. So yeah, I don't generally feel कि आप अपने आप को एक label कर सकते हैं. No, I don't like it for myself at least कि मैं कहूँ I'm an influencer, because it's not for me to decide. I feel it's for the people to decide who are they getting influenced by, Even if I have like a million ki following, I mean, to be honest, it's for the people to know okay, who are they really getting influenced by and in what context. So that's my answer. I have a lot of influences in my life, but yeah.
Okay,
And
good one.
I think I
Isha,
would
go ahead.
agree with Amber on this point कि हमारी जो definition of what is an influencer or who is an influencer is quite underdeveloped. I think
Mm.
still in this market because we consider microbloggers as influencers also. We consider like I think Faraz has a comment about seeders. We consider them as influencers also. Then in a certain way celebrities who are, let's say, endorsing a certain brand for a television commercial, they are also playing an influencing factor.
Yep.
You do take them on board to influence people, right? They're not just a pretty face on screen. So I think it depends on not just the brand but also the understanding of what the project is, what is needed to be done in it, what is needed to be achieved for that exact definition to come to life.
Mm,
For, let's say, a very small project like cleaning the beach. uh,
Mm.
People like Minam and myself and Maz, I think if we start cleaning the beach one day
mm,
in Pakistan, we might be able to influence a lot of people,
Yeah, true.
get them on board to do that certain task. So again, like Amber said, I think it's more to do with who you as an individual are influenced by versus
mm.
influencer का label किस पे लगता है.
Mm.
Okay, good one. But like for me, I just want to add, like for me, the biggest influencer in my life is actually the guy who cuts my hair, right? So I think he's an influencer himself, right?
Oh my
He
god.
always suggests the
The
hair
best
gel,
thing.
whichever hair gel he actually, and he doesn't have any social media. But in terms of people he can influence, I think he gets like 100 people a day. So he has more reach than a lot of people to be an influencer.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
I
And I
think he
think
should
that's
write
an
this on his resume.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I said he should write this on his resume.
yeah.
I doubt
if
that
he
he
has
needs a
one.
resume. People like
Amber,
us need a
actually,
resume.
um, I think I'll just add to Maz's point here. The relationship that a man has with his
A
barber
barber.
is, you can't come in between of that. And I know that
You
because my husband has a
you
weekly visit to
It's
his
a different.
barber that
you
can't be
cannot
interrupted.
you cannot change the barber. That's the biggest
You
problem. If
can't.
he dies, your hair will start growing and you can't go anywhere. Can you find a new barber that actually works for you? So that's the
It's a
problem that
different
we have.
level of relationship.
Yeah. And
Oh
you
my
don't
god.
talk, by the way.
Yeah.
At the barber,
Yeah.
you don't talk. It's just how it is. So I think Faraz got a very interesting point, right? So he's saying a lot of influencers, even with good following, are more of seeders. There are very
Hmm.
few who actually influence the audience, and I think both of you had a very very valid point in terms of influencer कोई भी हो सकता है, but influencer की definition जिस तरह हमने define की हुई है probably in Pakistan doesn't make sense, or at least gives the right kind of effect that you would want it to have.
I think
But yeah,
I'll take this minute to put you both under the limelight
shit,
here. Ask you,
this has
It
happened
always
what
twice
is
comes
this?
already with
back.
us.
It
What's
always
the
comes back.
definition for you?
To me, the influencer, I think I kind of agree with what you guys have said. Influencer is basically, I think it's a very important. Number one is that a lot of people have doubts on their importance in a campaign or brand building.
Yeah,
I feel that this is a term that has been coined very recently, but this influencer per se has been there for ages.
Yeah.
So पहले भी आपका, just the way I told about the barber story and all that, there are influencers, and we shouldn't keep them as a digital space. These are influencers outside the digital space, and I think Amber has a very good point that Imam is an influencer, right? And there are a lot of, especially if you see a majority of the FMCG products in Pakistan, they target to a certain demographic, which in Pakistan at least these are the people are not very much on digital media, who
yeah,
are going and to buy the groceries for from the stores, right? And for
Yeah.
them, influencer can be a drama actress as well on TV, and
Absolutely.
she doesn't need to be on Twitter or Instagram for that matter, and she doesn't need to talk
yeah,
about the product as long as
yeah,
she does it. And I think just one last point on the influencer, we like for example from a makeup perspective, because I worked at a certain company previously, so sometimes you don't need to even tell about that you're using a certain product just by looking at it, and if you like that look, you want to copy that look. You don't need to tell I'm using this lipstick and all that stuff. So influencer could be anyone and anyone, and I think I can be influencer as well.
Absolutely.
So for me, it's simple, right? These are basically your ambassadors, right? One is brand ambassadors. These are your life ambassadors, right? So these are people who actually influence in that manner things that you regularly buy, right? Simple as that. For me, from a marketing standpoint, is कि मुझे अगर एक particular गाड़ी खरीदनी है, or I'm looking for car, and I find someone that I follow is actually doing an amazing review on it, and it makes sense to me, I'll go and buy. It's simple as that. So when brands pick up an influencer, they need to think of them as brand ambassadors. They, even if they're picking up nano, so there's a word called nano influencers here, which is आपके celebs, macros, micros, nanos, based on their followers. Nanos are बिल्कुल seeders की तरह use होते हैं, right? So the fact is that even if you're picking up 100 or 1,000 seeders, you got to make sure you're picking up the right ones. Because वो लोग आपके brand को represent कर रहे हैं, and how they use the brand is more important than what they're showing. So if they're doing it for the money, they can just do a random picture and it has no impact. But if I use those leaders to actually showcase, as Maz mentioned, right? अगर barber भी है, या Amber's mother also, right? She also has a set of friends and family that she speaks to, and it actually helps to, as a word of mouth, to bring them. So for me, it's basically brand ambassadors. How you use them. And you put the science to it, or you put the ROI to it, or you put the reach numbers to it, is the media part of it. But just you should have that trust in that person that he's going to make my brand not just show it to more people, but make an impact in terms of the campaign that I'm running.
Absolutely, and I think it also matters how believable the content that this person is creating is. And I think since this is a platform where we can say things honestly, I would say I think brands really need to take a step back and let people do what they do best, instead of trying to shove the brand name down the audience's throat via influencers. अब एक बंदे को कंटेंट बनाने का काम आता है, वो करता डे इन डे आउट वही काम है, तो उसको जो करना है वो करने दो.
नहीं, क्लाइंट को भी तो कुछ करना होता है ना. I think that's the reality, right? उसको भी तो डायरेक्टर बनना होता है.
I just wanted to add something here.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think I just wanted to add something here. I feel like, just recently I've started to see, and I've personally worked with a lot of brands now who completely understand this point. And not only are they actively building, as Minam has said, like brand ambassadors for themselves on digital media, they're actually very intelligent about it. So, I mean, without taking names, I regularly work with 1 or 2 brands who know that, okay, so we're just going to pick out 10 girls from Pakistan who are going to be our recurring sort of like, voice on digital media, because they represent the brand, they can create the content a certain way, they have a certain sense of style, they represent the brand in a certain way. And that's also the feedback that over a period of time I start receiving from my followers, that they say, oh, now we go to that particular brand, or we buy it because you're the one who always wear it. So for example, even with brands like, let's say, Generation, like people have started to associate me with certain brands, right? यार हम जब उधर जाते हैं, हम उनके स्टोर में जाते हैं, हमें हमेशा आपका ख्याल आता है. So that's and that's great. I feel like the intelligent and the smarter brands have actually started to build on that. They're not just reaching out to anyone and everyone. They understand that it's very crucial to know that who's talking about it and whether that is generating that influence that they're looking for.
Absolutely.
That's a good to hear, actually, good thing.
The operative word that you used, Amber, and that's very crucial, was the recurring value that an influencer is creating. So over a period of time, you have built that following. You have people's trust. They come to you for fashion advice or whatever it is that you think about, and then they know who to go to when they have a certain a query about something. So I may look at a different influencer when it comes to gadgets, while I would look at you for fashion advice. And so that consistency of the medium, which is the influencer, and the message is very important. Like we say in advertising, medium is the message. That is something that still I think or a lot of brands need to be understood in the
Yeah.
market.
I mean, and
And
Mars and myself, we both worked in the media, so we understand कि brand awareness को कैसे over a period of time hammer किया जाता है, how it's a
Absolutely.
much more long-term strategy rather than just कि आपकी 2 पोस्टें लग गई तो आपका मतलब ऐसा कुछ नहीं होगा. You have to build that association. You have to really जिसको आप top of mind कह लें,
yeah,
recall कह लें,
yeah,
brand awareness कह लें, brand likability कह लें. That's just a long-term sort of plan, and I feel people need to develop that with like the like-minded influencers who they think can represent their brand in a good way.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
And
good
I think
point.
it's just one more point I want to add on that, right? It's more about partnership. What brands need to do is what you
Mm,
were talking about, Umber, earlier, right? The consistency, which is you keep on doing it regularly, so makes you believable. Second, the
mm,
partnership. One thing that I've realized working on certain campaigns with influencers is if you get them on board at an early stage, while you're developing the campaign, not at the tail end of it when you've already developed the campaign, then they're
mm,
just posting stuff. But if you bring them on board once, for example, even if you're doing your TVC production or you're doing your brainstorming,
Yeah,
if you bring them on board at that time, even though
yeah.
they're not going to be in that TVC or in that creative, they can actually know what's happening. And when they think about their content piece along with that, it gels very well.
that's true.
That has
Agreed.
been pretty successful for us. अच्छा एक चीज मुझे पूछनी है. So we know that they're experts in the influencer realm, right? So beauty
Mm.
experts, tech experts. पाकिस्तान में अभी तक कोई medical experts हैं that are doing some nice stuff. So for example, we work with one of these influencers in Malaysia. He's basically a doctor by profession, but he's also a blogger. So what people use him for is brands who are, for example, FMCG products or products that talk about bacteria and stuff like that. Or to talk about soaps, for example, will pick him up, and they don't push the message that he sells the product, but he talks about the science behind it. But because he has followers, and second, he's also good looking, it kind of works for him. So ऐसा कोई
yeah.
है पाकिस्तान में अभी that's working like a vet or a doctor or whatever that's actually become an influencer? Anyone that you know?
Yeah,
Anyone that you heard of?
to be honest, I haven't come across anything as such yet, but I think that's a great window of opportunity
Yes,
for
for sure.
somebody who is in the field, and they're definitely looking to give the right
Mm.
information out to people. I think Faraz is mentioning Shaista Lodi. I'm just gonna leave it at
Pakistan is a
that
doctor.
and not
Okay,
say
that's
any.
it. No. On a serious note, I worked with couple of people who are like surgeons and doctors in Pakistan, majorly on the dermatology part. There are that we worked with. Not so sure about anything else, but dermatology, they are very nice and they have good their social media pages. I don't remember now who they are, but
Yeah.
at that point in time, we worked with a few of them.
I actually haven't worked with surprisingly anybody in that field, so I won't be the right person to say
Mm.
case me nahi hai, but I haven't come across somebody yet,
Okay.
at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are a
Yeah.
few on that.
Same.
Okay, I'll just go for the next round of questions, which is about the building brands with influencers. So we discussed about some issues and all that. Let's talk about the importance of brand building via influencers. And for the sake of discussion, we are using the term influencers. We
Yeah.
all know, but let's just use that.
Yeah.
The influencers for the brand building, right? I think we all spoke about it. We need to be continuity, long term, all that approaches. But whenever you're thinking about a campaign plan, right, and let's go to the real grit of it. Whenever you go come up with a campaign brief, right, how does that influencer come across? Where does it sit in your brand plan? Is it like in terms of, I want to create awareness for the brand by using it, I want to create recall, I want to create improve the
Engagement.
brand health indicators, brand imagery, or it's very much मुझे sale करनी है, there are various ways of it.
Yeah.
How the influencer marketing sits in brand building, so we know that we are actually using it, using the word using very loosely here, but it is actually helping in the overall campaign of the brand. Influencer is just one part of it, right? So where does it fit in your brand planning?
So I think the answer is, I think, going back to how the brand objective is being fulfilled and what is at the end of the day my core that I need to achieve. When I do look at influencers, and it's not a matter of कि मुझे हर plan में या हर brand plan में मुझे influencers डालने हैं. It's more about, does it fit the story? Does it fit the brand story? Is it needed? Every brand, every project does not need to have influencers. Yes, if you want the right, let's say, recall, or if you want people to have the right information in a way that is memorable for them, it's believable for them, and it's easy to sometimes understand if somebody who, let's say, I follow, is, telling it in a different way. So brands ka usually, I think one of the challenges that brands do have, and especially if we look at MNCs, they do have to fit a certain guideline. They do have to fit certain guidances that come from the region, and so they are not able to give out long narratives or videos or things like that. But अगर वही चीज कोई influencer break down करके audience को समझा रहा होगा, that would be easier for the audience to digest as well. So it depends on what I'm trying to achieve. If, let's say, I'm working on a new spices category for one of the brands that I work on, and my objective is that people need to understand how it is used in a certain setting, if it's occasional, if it's festive, if it's seasonal, what is the scope of that certain project, what is it that I'm trying to achieve, and then I would take influence on board and say, acha, shayad if I talk about this myself as the brand, it might not get me that same mileage. But if I get influencers on board, they create recipes, they share recipes, we can, create a whole, 10 things you can do with, these spices. It's going to gain definitely more traction, and, people will believe that, this is something that's really good, and they will go out and at least try it. Influencers का काम ये नहीं है कि वो उस चीज को साला साल बेचे. Their objective is to get people to try it. Once you try it, depends on the product. If it's good enough, people will come back
They will
to
get
it.
it. Okay, I'll just twist this question a bit for Amber. Amber, you must have gotten a lot of briefs, right? Coming from brands or agencies. Have you ever said no to a brief? That, sorry, this is completely
and I want to add on. I want to add on one more question to that. I want to add on and have, what's the weirdest brief that you've gotten? Don't have to say the name of the brand. But what's the weirdest brief that you ever got?
This is
like.
This is
Amber,
getting
please
into
don't tell any brief I have sent you earlier in the life. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like a jerk, but yeah, I do keep saying I do decline a lot of briefs and even requests every day, I would say. And for the reason that everything here is becoming so murky, especially for smaller businesses, right? They don't understand how this works. So, for example, somebody wants to send you a PR package, but they're like, "Hey, Amber, can we have your address and contact, because we want to send you something and we want you to wear it, and then we want you to promote it, and then they're like, "Okay, goodbye." So, they really don't understand how this works, and they just feel like, just sending a product or a service is just their way of getting free promotion. Yeah, whereas it might have worked for other brands, but then again, I'm very picky about the kind of brands I work with, what I'm saying. May actually, I actually try to educate the brand sometimes. Like, listen, I'm not the right person for this. Like, I'll be honest, I can just take the money and do whatever you're wanting me to do. And so without taking names, since Manam has asked me, there was a recent campaign in which I was supposed to make a very manufactured sort of a content. और मैंने उसके अंदर कोई बहुत ही ना ऐसे टेढ़ी सी कोई पंजाबी सी लाइन बोलनी थी, like वाह 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 टाइप. And I was like, no guys, I'm sorry, I won't do that. So yeah, I mean, I have really interesting.
Which brand was that?
Huh? I mean, you won't get it.
I had to try.
We're just trying his luck right now.
It's just I mean, it's not just one person. Sometimes I would get like weird requests saying, hey, my name is this, and I'm a bodybuilder, and can you just give me a shout out, like can you just say how good looking I am? And I'm like, okay. So yeah, I mean,
is that what started? That's how you know Mars from? He said, "Hey, I'm
Uh,
watching Aisha."
Never.
Can you just
no,
give me
I
a
was
shout out?
I was a fangirl of Mars. I still am. So वो तो मैं free में दोनों के
Lovely.
लिए तैयार
Oh
हूँ.
my
Oh
god!
wow.
Oh my god! You guys
No,
can have a
we
No,
separate
went
chat.
to
I
long
very
way. We
honestly,
worked
I
on
also feel कि influencers ने बहुत कम influencers ऐसे हैं जो कि ये actually अपनी strength realize करते हैं और वो monetary gains के पीछे अपने मतलब रू नहीं
Self
बेचना
identity
चाहते.
भूल जाते हैं.
So,
Self
so
identity भूल
they're
जाते
very picky about who they work with. They're very picky about what they're saying. They want to do very authentic content. And so I feel like a lot of times I have to make a choice between a monetary gain versus, something that I will look like an idiot doing. And honestly, I don't want to look like, because I'll be honest, the day मेरी वो अपने अंदर, because I see my own content and I think twice कि यार मुझे ये अच्छा लग रहा है as a viewer के लिए. Am I really feeling nice about this or not? Or am I just looking like a sellout? And if I feel like I might just look like a sellout, I politely decline.
Yeah, makes sense. अच्छा एक और सवाल ये था कि one is the individual influencers, brand ambassadors, celebs, macros, whatever you want to call them, and then there are Facebook pages like Soul Sisters and all the kind of communities, right? Are brands interested to really work with those guys, and does it actually help? Yeah, Abibi, the major focus is still towards individual, someone like Umber, someone like any other celebrity that people want to work with. Yeah, it's kind of picking up where you want to work with communities because they have a large base, they can seed content for you, you can have conversations there.
Yeah.
No, so I think in Pakistan it's definitely in the last couple of years that I have seen, it has definitely picked up pace. Brands are more open to working with communities because you do get a very concentrated audience there. So
Yeah.
if we are, let's say, talking about maybe women's issues, we're talking about something to celebrate. या फिर, we're talking about new interesting ways to make dal, for example. uh, Communities which have people who are, let's say, chefs, जैसे Karachi chefs at home hai, Soul Sister
Yeah.
hai. And there are a lot
Food
more.
networks and
Yeah, so there are a lot more of these communities which are available, and they do definitely get you the kind of engagement, awareness, results that you are looking at. And it has worked for the brands that at least I have been a part of in planning. That जो जिस तरीके का content brand को चाहिए होता है, if they do, so these communities are great when you want to get user generated content, because you do want that authenticity, you do want that person's actual thoughts coming through.
Yeah.
When the participation goes up for these contests or these little engagement activities, brands do definitely benefit from that, and now it is more open to exploring as well.
yeah.
Okay, so Amber has to leave. I'll just ask one question, and I think because Amber needs to go. Amber, I consider you're a successful blogger in Pakistan.
Thank you.
So, yes. So, I want to ask a question because there are so many people who are new and who are young, and you've been doing it for the last 10 years, and you have grown, mashallah, and you are making a living out of it as well.
Yeah.
What are the few tips you can give it to the new influencers, and what are the things that you must have learned the hard way, and you don't want them to go through the same mistakes that you must have done in your early life? What are the
Yeah.
things that you feel you can give it to them, anyone who wanted to get into this business?
Okay. I mean, that's like I can give a whole course on this.
That's a crash course.
Yes,
We can
guys.
do it later.
Subscribe to
Influencer
my
101.
channel.
Good idea, not bad.
Subscribe to my channel. I'll tell you there. No, so okay. So just to sort of touch the surface, I would say that first of all, uh, put in the heart and the soul that goes into the content.
Yeah.
Put in the hard work. Be willing to put in that hard work. If somebody's come up to you, a brand has come up to you with a brief, or you want to create something for yourself also, good work has always come out of good thinking, right? So sit back, think what you want to do. Like, creativity ऐसे नहीं आ जाती कि मैंने किसी का TikTok देखा और मैंने वो replicate किया. So what's so unique about you? What's so special about what you're doing? Even if you're trying to take inspiration, or even if you're trying to replicate a TikTok, try and make that your own, so that you carve a niche and you carve a space for yourself.
Yeah.
Until and unless you're not able to establish your own identity and your own niche, like, as a blogger or as a content creator, now I'm sorry, you're just going to get drowned in the noise, and you'll just end up being like, just like anyone else, and maybe you may not be able to get to a point where you want to get, right? Because आप में और दूसरे लोगों में कोई खास यूनिक चीज नजर नहीं आ रही. नंबर टू, एंड आई थिंक ये कंटेंट की बात की है, और साथ ही साथ मैं इक्वली इम्पोर्टेंट समझती हूँ ऑफ structuring yourself and disciplining your work and having working hours, having professional emails, respecting people, other people's timelines, and so there's a great lack of professionalism that I see. People reaching out to you at 2 in the night, sending briefs. आप लोगों को रात के 2-2 बजे मैसेज कर रहे हैं. आपने अगर आज की कमिटमेंट की है किसी ब्रांड के साथ, तो आप 6 दिन उनको वेट करा रहे हैं. So just sticking to your basic professional ethics. Let me tell you, people don't take this seriously. This is the only thing that will take you far, right? It's a very simple rule of, I think, customer experience, if I may say so. If a brand has come to you and if they had a good time to, they had a good experience working with you, and then you delivered things on time, you were professional, you were polite, you did things in a very structured manner, you were organized, trust me, they're going to come back. But if you were not any of those things, they'll really think twice before working with you again. So if you're really in it for the long term, please establish yourself like a business entity, like a professional, have some rules for yourself, have some method to the madness, and that's what's going to take you far. That's mostly it. And I think one of the other things I just want to say is that initially, don't just make money your goal. I mean, people don't know this, but some of the biggest campaigns that I've done in the initial years, and even to date, don't just associate with the monetary value. लोग फॉरेन bloggers के ना 1000 followers होते नहीं है, तो वो कहते हैं जी we will take this much per post and nothing beyond that. So I mean, try and understand that what is in it for you, how you will learn and grow from this collaboration, how much of value it will add to your portfolio, and be willing to work for free, be willing to learn, be willing to make compromises on the money. I feel like people need to be a little less, ambitious when they're just starting out. कि बस हमारे होए ना followers और बस हमारी partnerships आना शुरू हो जाए. So we have to be a little more patient with the whole thing as well.
Brilliant. I completely agree. I think
it makes sense.
It feels really good actually from an agency side when you hear someone who actually talks about stuff that the only part I think agencies won't appreciate is the briefs coming at 2 a.m. which think
will still come in.
Which will still come to you, Amber.
On email. You can read them in the morning.
Take the liberty of saying this, कि आप भी लोगों को educate करते हैं as you go, right? So if some brand is really not respecting the whole, way of work that they should have in a professional setting, you should try and educate them, and you should try and set those boundaries where you tell them that, okay, thank you. Can I have an official email on this? Can I have a brief on this, right? So if they're just sending you WhatsApp voice notes and they want something by the evening, you let them know that this is not how you work, and this is how I believe the entire industry will evolve and learn. That influencers सिर्फ घर में बैठ के इधर TikToks मतलब बैठ के ऐसी पार्टियां नहीं कर रहे. They have a whole method to the madness. Because they are also professionals, right? So आप अपनी working hours define करें, आप अपनी media kit बनाएं, आप लोगों को बताएं, they can reach out to you in a certain manner. You have your emails, and you can also like develop a team. So I just feel like if people don't respect that, at least you should respect your own work and your own self.
Absolutely.
You set the boundaries yourself. That's I think that's the core of it.
Perfect. I think that the fact about being professional really makes sense. Like if you set yourself to success only through that, people have to respect your work and also you as a person. Absolutely. So Amber, if you have to take a leave, we know it's okay. If you want to stay, it's only 5 more. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Not sure you can ask. Well, if you have another question, I'll just answer that, and then we can.
Perfect. So it's only 5 minutes to go, anyways. एक simple सवाल है. TikTok has gone crazy around the world, right? So people, and we're seeing so much stuff in Pakistan, India, neighboring countries. Everyone is an influencer today, right? So anyone who picks up a TikTok can have immense followers in a week's time by doing something stupid or something
Yeah,
interesting or something really good. So
yeah.
from both of you, one who's buying influencers for their campaigns and one who's actually an influencer, what are the pros and cons of this kind of fast fan base creating through weird content pieces? Is there any nice things that actually exist through TikTok? Can we use that, or it's just all rubbish in Pakistan right now?
So, from a planning point of view, I think it depends on how you are looking at it and what you are trying to do. Definitely for brands that want to have that kind of reach, they want to engage with that kind of audience. TikTok has like massive
Yeah,
opportunity. Having said that, because it has been recently introduced as an advertising platform in Pakistan, abhi bhi, I think there is a lot more to kind of see and test the water. There are brands that are willing to go on TikTok. Again,
yeah,
वहाँ पे फिर हमारे मीडिया पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से ब्रांड सेफ्टी की बात आ जाती है,
yeah,
ब्रांड गाइडलाइंस की बात आ जाती है. But yes, I think that presents great opportunity. If everyone is a influencer in this day and age, I think that gives more opportunity to brands to work with real people instead of only looking at celebrities or only looking at
yeah,
content creators. It
yeah.
makes your campaign more believable. It makes your brand more approachable in that, if I can say so. So I think
Absolutely.
TikTok will definitely become one of the key platforms where brands would invest in, but there's still time for that.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe I don't. Maybe Isha Zahir, she would understand better from a brand's point of view. I actually feel it also really depends on the context in which you're talking about it, right?
Hmm.
If you're just heading a campaign or a brand which is just looking for virality in the masses, right? So TikTok can be your next television, or it could be your next outdoor, where you're just looking out
Yeah.
to reach to the
Mm.
masses. मतलब आपके नाई से लेके
Yeah.
दर्जी से लेके धोबी से लेके आपका जितना सारा मतलब हाउस होल्ड स्टाफ है ना वो सब एडिक्टेड है टिकटॉक के राइट
Yeah.
दे
Yeah.
डोंट
Yeah.
watch television anymore. So if you're just looking to reach out to a huge population of people, I mean, some of the TikTok stars, by the way, in Pakistan have a much higher following than the global, like fashion influencers. And it's appalling the kind of consumption people have in Pakistan and India for TikTok.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, I mean, really, if you're looking for a huge, like, and sort of like a virality kind of a thing, sure, go ahead. But if you're a very niche, sort of like a brand who's very particular about again, if you're looking for fashion, you're looking for beauty,
Yeah.
you're looking for something which is being advertised in a much more controlled manner and with a certain look and feel and with a certain voice, then obviously you have to turn to other mediums. Because with TikTok, to be honest, I know of certain brands who ventured into it and I sort of questioned it, okay, so they're a very nice, fashionable, serious brand. Why are they even doing that? So I feel it's the medium also which needs to be, I mean, you need to really look into who the people are who are consuming that content and
Yeah.
whether that's going to make the impact that you're looking for. So, yeah.
I
But
think
so
it's
I just
going
got.
to make
Yeah. Sorry.
a
Go ahead.
lot more sense once you have the kind of influencers or the kind of again content creators who we all love
Yeah.
watching, engaging with. Once they kind of adapt to
Yeah.
TikTok, how the content is created there, it's going to help evolve the market also. And again,
Definitely.
like Amber said, कि जिन brands को थोड़ा सा controlled environment में काम करना होता है, they need their narrative the way they need their narrative. So I think that's going to also help. A lot of
Yeah.
celebrities have started joining TikTok now, which is again what is giving I think a little bit of push to the platform in Pakistan.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's your point, Nita. It's more not more towards in terms of advertising on the platform as it is, like but taking a takeover or whatever in feed. I was talking about more towards the influencers itself. But I think
Mm.
Amber kind of covered that point by
I'll
saying,
be
yeah,
honest. I don't feel personally, if you ask me, I don't feel entirely comfortable because for me,
mm,
TikTok is too much out there, and really,
yeah,
it's just sort of like anyone and everyone. And I just don't, like because honestly, living in a society like ours, I don't
yeah,
want like my sort of because I am the one who's actually making this content. I don't want to be like a very, very consumable sort of like a commodity in every household and in everybody's phones. So maybe that could just be my personal hinge. There are people who are very, like, making great content on TikTok, but I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure a lot of people like myself are a little skeptical, of whether they want to take that route.
Absolutely.
All right,
All
girls,
right.
we just can finish it. Thank you so very much. Really,
Thank you,
really
guys.
appreciate.
This was
Amazing discussion. Amazing.
Loved it.
Good discussion, and thank you so very much for joining.
Thank
we
you,
will-
Maz, Manam, and Eisha. This was
Thank you for
wonderful.
having us. It
Good
was
chat.
interesting,
was-
definitely.
It was a pleasure. I think everything that you guys said were actually bang on, made sense. We got a lot of engaging audience coming in, which is brilliant. People saying, giving their comments. So bottom of my heart, thank you so much, guys, for being on board today. And we hope to keep in touch. And we should do another session on a different topic, much more interesting and different.
Absolutely.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Have a good
Bye,
night, guys. Love this.
Good
night.
Bye, everyone.